Growing up as a kid in the 90s, I didn't really have many superheroes to look up to. I mean, I had Super Dude from All That who would die at the sight of milk. I mean, you had Static Shock, which was a cartoon, so it was kind of like, okay. I mean, you had the Black Power Ranger and Zack, who half the time didn't know if he was trying to save the world or start a Congo line. You had the famous Jet Jackson on Disney, who was playing the character that was playing the character of a superhero in Silverstone. So we didn't exactly have a lot of people to choose as black kids growing up as a black superhero. I mean, the best we had really was The Rock. I mean, he was half black, half Samoan, and that was the best we're going to get. And a lot of us settled for it. But the talent pool of black superheroes growing up was very shallow. And before the 90s, it was even worse. Growing up as a kid, remember in the late 90s, I remember one time my mama taking me to Blockbuster. Now, for those that don't remember what Blockbuster is, for you young kids out there, that was Netflix and Hulu, but in actual physical form. Yeah. So I remember walking around Blockbuster, and I remember seeing this particular cover that just drew my eye. It was the guy from the Parenthood, but in a superhero costume. And I said, this seems interesting. Yes, Robert Townsend from the Parenthood, which was one of my favorite shows on the WB growing up as a kid. So I remember my mama getting me that movie as a kid. I thought it was really dope. And usually my experiences with superheroes from Superman to Batman was you would see some type of cartoon, some type of commercial, posters, apparel, memorabilia, but there was none of that for Meteor Man. I couldn't figure out like why was there no other versions or ways or promotions to see Meteor Man. It was just this one movie and it was gone. But then growing up and watching it back as an older adult, I now realize what was wrong with Meteor Man, and it was, well, Meteor Man. The person playing the lead role, the superhero of Meteor Man in Robert Townsend. Now, before I go any further, let me cop please right now. I have all the respect in the world for Robert Townsend as a writer, producer, director, visionary, and pillar within the black community as a filmmaker. But Robert Townsend as a leading man for a superhero movie does not work, and there's a reason why that movie became a flop. Now, if you would have made Robert Townsend a superhero in a skit like in Living Color, all power to you. But as an actual movie, it doesn't work. But let me first go over the actual plot of Meteor Man. So, Meteor Man is about a teacher in Jefferson Reed who is trying to help their inner city youth by being a school teacher. However, continues to face the terrorizing local gang of the Golden Lords. Basically, they're supposed to be your Bloods and Crips. But the Golden Lords, by the way, which is one of the most underrated villains of all time. And the sad part about it is the Golden Lords actually had an age range from little kids, like actual little kids, to grown adults. And they basically were ciphering drugs within the community and tearing down the community, stealing, robbing, beating up everyone. And Jefferson Reed was no different. He will also be a victim of this gang in the Golden Lords. And eventually one night he will be chased down in the alley by the Golden Lords and will get beat up, and he will have to hide into a dumpster to avoid them. But he eventually gets out the dumpster, and this time he's being chased by a meteorite, this green glowing meteorite, which will collide and smash into him to where he eventually will get these superpowers. And with discovering these superpowers, he will learn that he had X-ray vision, superhuman strength, speed, hearing, healing powers, the ability to absorb contents of books by just the touch, super breath, talking to dogs. Like it was his powers for sure was all over the place. But after having fun with his powers, Jefferson Reed would decide to clean up the neighborhood and protect the neighborhood that he lived in, protect his neighbors, his friends, his family against these golden lords. And he would be successful until he wasn't, because eventually the golden lords would find out his identity, would find the meteorite that he used to get these powers, and also Jefferson Reed would start to lose his powers throughout the movie. So much so that the golden lords would take over the powers of the meteorite and use them against Jefferson Reed. However, at the end, the neighborhood would stand up. The entire neighborhood would stand up to the golden lords with Jefferson Reed and take down the golden lords themselves. Which the movie itself, it was star-studded. Like, it had everyone in this movie. James Earl Jones, it had Marla Gibbs, Eddie Griffin, Luther Vandross. Like Lil Luther. It had Luther Vandross, bruh. Sinbad, Naughty by Nature, Cypress Hill, Big Daddy Kane, a young Don Cheadle. Jennifer Lewis. It had John Witherspoon, bruh. And I know we feel different about him now, but back then, it had just literally coming off of the most successful black television show of all time. It had Bill Cosby, bruh. Bill Cosby, who literally never did anything outside of what his projects were doing, came outside to support this movie. This is how important this movie was to a lot of folks within the black community. However, it still flopped. Why? Because one, the writing, it was the 90s and it was a little bit too comedic at times when it's supposed to be serious, when people are dying and getting robbed. And once again, it's a serious subject in regards to gang violence that was really going on in the 90s at its worst time following the crack epidemic. Like, it was addressing serious issues, but it was being a little bit too comedic at times. But also going back to the main issue of a superhero is supposed to be someone that people believe in, so someone people look up to, someone that people believe even without their superpowers, you can whoop their ass. And that was not Robert Townsend. He was moving scary within the movie. Like, he was scared of his own shadow. He just didn't have no type of confidence, no type of no type of swag, no suave to him. Like, this is who our superhero is supposed to be. In no way, shape, or form was he intimidating like a Batman or awe-inspiring like a Superman. He was just regular for the most part. Even with his superpowers, it's still he wasn't believable as a crime fighter. He wasn't believable as a vigilante. He just wasn't. Like, he has no physical presence to him. He doesn't have those intangibles. Again, he moved around like a scaredy cat. And in my opinion, the person that should have taken that role as Meteor Man, that I think would have been successful, is the top guy around this time in the 90s in Wesley Snipes. I think Wesley Snipes being the guy to portray Meteor Man would have been the perfect candidate and the perfect role for him, because Wesley Snipes was the leading man in black action movies at this time. Before a guy by the name of Will Smith came along, that man was Wesley Snipes. However, he decided to do Demolition Man instead. So, yeah, that worked out. But I think Wesley Snipes would have been a perfect man for this role. I think it would have completely changed the complexity of the movie. Wesley Snipes is not going to move around scared. You can't write him like that. It doesn't work. You can't write him as a guy that's afraid of his own shadow because it's not believable. So they would have had to completely rewrite the movie different around his character. And again, I'm not trying to put down Robert Townsend. I respect everything he did for our culture, for the black community, but Meteor Man could have been better. It could have been vexed, and they could have really thought of how to make this a real superhero movie. Understand he's supposed to be the common man, and every common man ain't out here trying to fight crime, and everyone has a superhero in them. I get that, but it's a superhero movie. I think a great example of what Meteor Man could have been, if done correctly, is Black Lightning. Black Lightning is a great example of what a black superhero movie could be with all the same intangibles. Black Lightning is about a superhero who the main character is Jefferson Pierce, to where he's a principal of a school and he's trying to help clean up the school and clean up the community. And he tries to do it through just being a principal, but realizes he has to go back to being a superhero, which jeopardizes his ability to be a principal and be a family man and all that. Like, that is a great example because it still has the intangibles of helping our community, helping clean up the streets, but still be a masculine, suave, confident leader, right? That's what a superhero is supposed to be, is a leader. I don't believe Meteor Man is a true leader. He cowers too much. He became a leader all the way at the end, right? When he spoke up for himself and spoke up and spoke up to the community, saying, "Y'all won't even go out and fight, so how you gonna judge me?" That's cool. But at the end of the day, I never felt like Meteor Man was a true leader. Now, don't get it twisted. I do love this movie. I love the actors in this movie. I love the comedy in this movie. I love that this movie is truly black. Like the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck, black. Like my gums, black. Like black pepper. And like that black Wesley Snipes, black. You feel me? I almost messed up and said Wesley Pipes. Y'all know about that. Y'all too young. Y'all. I probably should keep this out of there. I should probably edit this out. I don't want them to know my business like that. But yeah, I love. We'll fix that in post. Tyler Perry voice. We'll fix that in post. I love everything that this movie represents. I love the story arc. I love the meaning and message of, hey, when we all come together as a unit, when we all come together as one, like when Big Mama said in Soul Food, together like a fist, we can strike a mighty blow. I love all that, but the fact still remains. What I hate about this movie is also what it represents, which is the emasculation of Jefferson Reed, the emasculation of what is supposed to be the superhero of this movie. You can still have the same ending of Jefferson Reed losing his powers, standing up to the bullies, which I love that they had the character. Robert Townsend had the character still confess that with the powers he thought he was invincible, but it all was a facade. But when it came to the nitty gritty, he did stand up to the bullies. He did stand up to the Golden Lords and literally put his life on the line. Why? Because that's what superheroes do. Jefferson Reed was a superhero because he literally, I sound like dude from Parks and Rec. He literally put his life on the line to try to save his community. So yes, Jefferson Reed was a superhero, Okay? But the fact still remains that he could have been played differently. He could have been presented differently. He did not need to be scary. He did not need to be inferior in order to be played. You can have the same ending, just have Meteor Man just be more masculine and be more authoritative. That's all I'm asking. Because watching it as an adult, I do cringe. Because it's like, I understand it's the 90s. Understand it's a comedy. But it's like, could you just be a little more serious? Just a little bit. Shout out to 50 Cent. Shout out to 50. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, y'all understand? Y'all understanding this language? Are you understanding where I'm coming from? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? They're like, can you feel me? Do you understand? Right? You got to remember, within a year's time, we also following Meteor Man, get Blank Man. Another superhero movie to where the lead character and the black superhero is emasculated and inferior. So all I'm saying is, that's the only thing I hate, is that it kind of feeds into what I truly feel Hollywood wanted. I just think as a black kid growing up and as an adult watching it back, we could have had something just a little better. That's all I'm saying. I still love you, Robert. I miss Robert. I miss Robert. I miss Robert. What? Y'all don't know about that. Y'all know about Comic View. Y'all don't know about that. Shout out to Ricky Smiley. I met this girl the other day. I met this girl the other day. I said, what's your name? What's your motherfucking name? How do I get on this tangent? Oh yeah. I still love you, Robert. I still love you, Robert Townsend. And all you've done and continue to do for us, for our community, I still love you. But I just wish the movie could just be a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that is my feelings towards Meteor Man, the first true black superhero movie. Just my love-hate relationship. But let me know how you feel about this movie. Comment below. It's just a free country. You can say whatever you want, however you feel. You know what I mean? You could be worse. I mean, you could be a Tyler Perry. Oh, we're gonna have some church today. Amen, somebody. Oh, we're gonna talk. See y'all soon. Why? Because I'm black, y'all. Because I'm black, y'all. Because I'm black and I'm black and I'm black, y'all. And now blah, 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 blah. Yo, because I'm black and I'm back.
12:37 in the AM, and you're listening to Rod Simmons on Talk Radio. Our show tonight, The Flying Man of D.C. Does he really exist? Is he real or fiction? We want to hear from you. We want to hear your calls. Call in now. You know our number.
Hey, Rod, man, I just want to say that, with all the black-on-black crime in D.C., it's kind of nice to know a brother's out there trying to do something. Thanks.
I just want to say, I don't know if he's real or not, but I've got 2 kids, and I just pray that he is.
I think this is a ridiculous scam being perpetrated on the inner city by ambitious politicians stepping on the backs of my people for their own corrupt political agendas. Peace.
You're listening to Rod Simmons. A yes caller.
All I know is that somehow someone they call the Flying Man closed down a crack house, and it brought my son home.
gentlemen, this is a miracle. An outdoor grocery store, a garden in the middle of the ghetto. It'll feed thousands and thousands.